Hello and welcome to Talkin Jake. Myself, Jake Storielli, BBD producing as we talk about the wide world of sports, and we actually do get a little wide. We'll talk a little bit of the boxing and UFC because I unfortunately got crazy locked into both. Talk some football at the end. To start it out with some ball, I want to talk about Roki Sasaki a little bit. Just talked to Trev a little bit about it, and now I'm wondering if I'm flip-flopping decisions in my head and how much power he kind of has this free agency. As we enter kind of we're in a bubble, and I don't know when that bubble's going to crack. We'll probably get a couple, I would say we get one or two weird free agent signings this week. Probably something unappealing. No offense to any of our friends. The first name that popped in my head, like Rowdy Tellez, is a free agent. I don't know. Welcome to Cleveland. No, I don't know. Like Michael Waka got his contract done. We've seen the Halos get their bidding done. I don't know. If a team wants to bring in Yasmani Grandal for next year to do some pitch framing, he'll be available. But we're really in this free agency hole that's not going to go probably till around Thanksgiving. We'll see. Usually the big fish control the market. Soto is such a big fish that I don't think he controls the market. Gets tricky.
For what it's worth, like if you think the market will wait for him, he is on paper doing things pretty ahead of schedule.
Right, he's doing meetings. He's about it.
Today is the Yankees meeting, which is supposed to be like the last of the first round of meetings. Over the weekend, I was looking at when did Garrett Cole do his meetings? I think his first one was in December, and he signed at the winter meetings. So,
okay,
trending early, but Ohtani started around this time too when he waited.
Yeah, and I mean,
you never know. Everyone's different.
Everyone has the number in their head that they think they're getting. That if they finally get to that spot, maybe it's go time. Or you don't get to that spot, and maybe you got to do the dance for a while. So, I don't know. I mean, Soto, I don't think that's going to dictate too many teams. The Yankees would obviously have to audible significantly. And I guess the other teams, maybe this is obnoxious Yankee stuff, but, if you're the Mets, you have to have a non-Soto plan. If you're anyone else who we think is going to be in on this, the Red Sox, supposedly. Teoscar, he'd be good there. AL East. Play left field. The Monster's pretty close. Don't hate that if they take him from L.A. Am I rooting for that? Because then I see Teoscar a lot more. Anyways, I don't know when this free agency is going to get really going. It's kind of ironic if I had to place a bet at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Last year, I went on vacation in December, and free agency really took off. A couple big trades. Jimmy is going on a big trip this year. That's also end of Thanksgiving into the first week of December. So just playing the John Boy Media tea leaves, I'm going to say right in there. We'll get that Soto signing. But we did some, on Talking Baseball today, we did some MLB buy and sell. One of the questions that got me going was my guy Roki Sasaki, who, if you have no idea, if you weren't in on the WBC, if you weren't in on MLB The Show, or Roki Sasaki, the kids have been video gaming with for a little bit, he is the real deal. And hey, if you're like, haven't we done all this with Yamamoto? Should we just even stop having to label Japanese players this way? He looks the part. And he is the part. Fastball sits at 98. I think he's hit 103 on the gun before. He's 6'3", good frame to him, intense. That it seems like this is the guy. I feel like we heard about Sasaki before Yamamoto almost. And I think part of that is he just turned 23. So he's getting posted. We've talked about him a little bit. If you don't know how the systems work, nobody truly does, but there are people. He is getting posted, and your team is going to be able to sign him to essentially the rookie major league contract. He will be under team control for 6 years. You'll have him cost controlled and very cheap, at least for the first 3-4 years. That he is one of the most coveted free agents because of that. And it's going to be interesting to see where he lands. And we started laughing on Talking Baseball today because the question was, is he going to hold up the pitcher market? And we both said no. I mean, Roki Sasaki, he's going to be essentially for free. If you get him good, and I guess where I landed, it was like, hey, if he gives you, that's your 6th or 7th starting pitcher, maybe you trade one of those guys and you improve your team elsewhere. Maybe you don't. You sign a guy like this that gives you the flexibility to do whatever you want. It is interesting. Like I know us as Yankee fans, we haven't even been able to daydream of it. Everyone assumes he's going to the Dodgers, and well, not everyone. A lot of people assumed he's going to the Dodgers because of their Japanese connection with Ohtani, Yamamoto. Padres are heavily rumored. And I do think it is funny if you go on the internet and there's a good article by Will Salmon, not spelled like the fish, double M. Will Salmon from The Athletic, talking about Sasaki coming over. A couple things I need to highlight. One, they interview his manager Masato Yoshii, former MLB pitcher, I believe. And he says, to be honest, he still has a lot to learn, which, by the way, a good reminder of how awesome the Japanese culture is. Any other country comes in and says that this guy's like the next Hall of Famer. He's the next Justin Verlander, whoever you want it to be. This kid's a stud in Japan, and they're like, he's got a lot to learn. Nice. Always be learning. The Yankees and the Mets in play. Sure. Dodgers, Padres. I'm seeing the Phillies linked. They were big on Yamamoto. And then it throws out the Red Sox. I forget if I said the Cubs or not. But a lot of the big market teams. And that's, some of the comments on this Athletic article are, what you'd expect in a comment section, unfortunately. Oh, wow, it's the big clubs that can spend, which is ironic because they can't spend for him, but they can spend for other players. So I guess I'm walking back my thought process a little bit that he might not hold up the market just because if there's a chance you can get this guy, and I don't know, today I was talking about the Cubs, and I talked about it last episode. I don't know where Corbin Burns is going. I still don't. We daydreamed about Corbin Burns going to the Cubs today, which I really like. It feels like the impact move the Cubs can make to be like, hey, we have a great pitching staff. We like our lineup. Let's do this. No rumors, no anything there. I don't know if the Cubs are going to be big spenders or not spend at all this offseason because they kind of like their squad. But, for example, say if he was in on the Cubs. Okay, they don't need to spend on Corbin Burns now. They would have a pretty sick top 3 from what we know. Imanaga, Steele, and then adding Sasaki. And then if they were willing to spend the kind of money for a big free agent, which, again, the Cubs have been in kind of this weird middle area. Everyone we thought they'd sign, they didn't. They did sign Dansby. That was a very real contract. That Hap extension looks great, right?
Yeah.
Come on, Hap. Should have been a Yankee. Okay. Stop with that. That, I guess I have reconsidered what Sasaki's free agency could potentially do to teams that actually think they're going to get him. Because by the time he has to, BBD, I need you to help me out with the posting because he hasn't been posted yet.
No, there's
the 15th.
Because I think December 15th is the end of this year's signing period, and has to be like a 1-month layover. That part's less important. The short version is it would benefit him and his former team to just wait until next year's signing period begins, which I believe would be January 15th, where bonus pools reset and guys don't have to, these teams wouldn't have to back out of the deals with these other kids and all of that.
What's the thought process though, that if they reset that, because they're still talking about posting him on December 15th, so would they just not sign paperwork till January 15th?
Yes,
Something
it'd be like because I think it's a 45-day period, so
yeah,
so they could wait till then. Yeah, the exact rules around it are fuzzy, but in general, it's pretty likely he doesn't officially sign until it counts as next year when books are clean and all of that.
So, with that being said, we're now talking about January, which that's normally kind of the dead part of the baseball season. That's when we're really searching for topics. So teams can either be looking at it as a Roki Sasaki bonus piece, which, okay, if that's the Dodgers, the embarrassment of riches there is insane. If you're a team like the Padres, who he idolizes Yu Darvish, or he did. I don't know where he still lands. He's 23. So people are wondering that. West Coast, we've seen that with a lot of Japanese players. I mean, it's a kind of exciting club to be a part of, right? That whatever the Padres are doing this offseason, we don't know. They've got, Peter Seidler, RIP, that now a new part of his family is running the team. I don't know if they're going to be spending as aggressively as he was. Doesn't seem like it. That's a team that would be significantly altered if Sasaki says he's coming there. You can invest the $25 million you were going to bring in to bring a starting pitcher, now to bring in a hitter, to bring in 2 hitters, to trade for some dead money from a team. You know Preller's going to get in the mix. That, I guess the Roki Sasaki story for me was kind of like we aren't in control, and we aren't. He's going to get to pick where he goes. That's where I've been laughing and reading the article. I compared it to like high school recruiting, because it could just be one of anything he likes. Could it be Chicago? Emanaga's his buddy. Heard the city's cool. He likes cold weather. No clue. New York. Has he always dreamt of wearing pinstripes? Has he always dreamt of befriending the richest owner, Steve Cohen, or being part of the change with the Mets? They said the Mets recruiting pitch for Yamamoto was awesome. It just didn't happen. So, hey, there's something there, and they have Kodai Sang on the team. So, who knows which one of these things for a 23-year-old is going to dictate how they spend their next 6 years. If you want rings, seems like the Dodgers. Also close to home, seems like the Dodgers. Also familiar teammates, seems like the Dodgers. In a lot of people's heads, it seems like the Dodgers until it's not. And if it's not, I'm excited to see where. As long as it's not. I see the Red Sox listed here.
No thanks.
It's none of their business, none of my business.
Yoshida there.
This article lists the Phillies. I don't know. I'm not going to believe in anything. I'm not going to believe in anything till it happens. Why? I don't know. We'll see. I'm interested to see how his free agency affects the rest of free agency. I was pretty flippant about it in today's Talking Baseball. And I think there is a chance, whether it's a handshake agreement or whatever it is, it could significantly change because there's depth in the starting pitching free agents. And this guy could be a potential one. There's some rumors his velo was down. Was he nursing an injury? I don't know. This guy's a guy. He can reshape the whole young core of a team. If it's the Dodgers, everyone watch out. And he was just more on my mind than I thought this morning. And if I'm being real honest, I kind of want to talk about more sports because I got lost in this sports weekend.
Blitzball Battle 5, a pair of winless teams going at it, trying to avoid playing in that loser's bracket, if you will. Team Baggage has never beaten Del Caribe. How are they going to get it done later today?
Well, I think they gained a lot of confidence in their last matchup despite the loss. One thing you can take with absolute certainty is somebody is leaving with a win from this one.
So Baggage hit the ball exceptionally well. They came up on the short end of the stick in their first game of the season. Del Caribe did not get a single hit against Forgotten Rotten.
Different matchup here today.
If we go back to every single tournament played in the warehouse, I think I've taken Team Baggage at every game they've played. They do not want that skunk patch.
I don't think I've got one right so far, so I'm going to go ahead and pick Del Caribe.
Why not?
Just to help you out, Kels, so that way everybody's happy.
I got Team Baggage. Stupidly, I picked them to win the entire tournament. I don't know what it is. I think I'm a moron. We will see you later today. We continue Blitzball Battle 5.
I really did. I'm gonna save the NFL for now because it was a big fight weekend. Maybe prank call Canobbio. He had a big weekend, didn't he? Friday night. I want to start there with the boxing. Jake Pual, Mike Tyson, Netflix streaming. Interesting. We saw the perils of that, and I don't know if you want to find yourself saying dumb sentences. Talk about it. Because I was texting our tech guy, Tech Mike, who's also a big boxing fan. He was watching the match. And it was funny, we were talking about streaming live sports, and we're like, man, I don't know. I don't know if this is ever going to work. I don't know, a streaming service like Netflix doing live things. I just don't know. And then it's like, well, we've had that with cable forever. Like, that is streaming live sports. I realize there's 2 or 3 tech nerds out there that probably don't like the way I phrased that, but I don't know. Everyone that was watching did have to deal with some spinning wheel of death, and you have to go out and come back in. That was kind of tough. Missed a chunk of the women's boxing match. That was awesome. Awesome. And that's where I want to do some good and the bad with boxing here. It was Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor, a rematch. For those of you that are on BBD's parts of the internet, I believe Sydney Sweeney is playing Katie Taylor in an upcoming movie about her. Not sure about Serrano. These two faced off the first time, one of those match of the year situations. They say, let's run it back, and they do. These two just teed off on each other. One of those things that's kind of wild to see. You wonder if one of them's going to give up. Serrano had a big cut on her face that looked like it came from an illegal headbutt from Taylor. So we got some good drama here, a rematch. We always love that. At the end of the match, and this is where boxing hurts me as a true sports fan, I think they awarded the wrong winner. Serrano seemingly won on every card. Serrano had so many more punches, so many punches landed, impact punches, and they gave it to Katie Taylor. So, one, boxing, which I've gotten into some interesting conversations, including one with Tech and Mike, about like what boxing needs to do to come back. And you could say this is it. I think the number that everyone was throwing around was 60 million people tuned into this on Netflix. Hello. Who knows how they got that number, but sure, happy for them. If boxing needs to get back in the fold, you need stars, which we'll get to Jake Paul and Tyson in a second. At the end of the day, sports, you need the result to match what happened. If you don't have that, and that's where I'm excited to talk about UFC in a little bit as well. If you don't have that, you don't have sports fans. Like, sure, you have entertainment and, if you get the right people lined up, people will kind of tune into anything. Again, Exhibit A, 58-year-old Mike Tyson. But that was tough because it was like, okay, I'm going to tune into this boxing match. Taylor, Serrano, this is sick. And then to see the scorecard popped up, it could have been labeled like a tie, or I forget what they say, no contest, boxing guy. It definitely wasn't a win for Taylor. So that's tough. That's tough for me, a sports fan and a sports consumer, to see that. And I don't know if that drama played better years ago, because the argument I got in with Tech Mike, I was like, look how much real estate boxing has lost in the sports world. Boxing used to be the 1-1. It was like boxing then baseball. And boxing's not like that even in like combat sports anymore. So that was something that rubbed me the wrong way. We get Paul Tyson. It's a spectacle. Mike Tyson's in the ring. He's 58. Popular conversation around our office, around your office. Was it rigged? Is it fixed? What do you think happened? Did Tyson just get tired? The thing is, all of it's in play. Jake Pual is 27. He's in incredible shape. Mike Tyson's 58 in incredible shape, but that means two very different things. So they did the 2-minute rounds to be shorter. They did the heavier gloves. These were kind of things that they were trying to get in your head to make it more Tyson-esque. It was cool to see him come out. Kind of chills. Mike Tyson is his own sort of iconic. That pre-internet bubble when you had to be famous by being the best or crazy famous. Mike Tyson had that, and he still has that. He's in The Hangover. He's everywhere. He's Mike Tyson. You know, a lot of people that can do a Mike Tyson impression. Had some surprising ones in The Office. Little bro Luke busted out a Tyson the other day. Liked that. Jake Pual, I have a little bit of respect for. He's a polarizing figure, YouTuber, kid, TV show. Kind of like the bad YouTube times when it was like anything goes. He's made himself into this boxer. He passes the eye test. Like that was one of the things we were talking about when we were saying it was rigged this morning. Like, the guy's in amazing shape, world-class shape. He's 27. It's like peak athleticism. Mike Tyson, 58. Want to harp on that a little more because 35 chiming in. Can't imagine 58 and get in the boxing ring. And I just don't know. I don't know the lines on rigged. I don't know the lines on handshake deals. I don't know, hey, take a couple big swings at me early, and then if we just want to dance our way through this. I have no clue. It was a tough way to end the spectacle that if you're walking away from it, boxing on this stage with so many people watching, okay, I get one good boxing match, and the result didn't match what I saw. And then I kind of watched an old guy fight a young guy, which, again, the spectacle side of boxing, which if we're going to go and do that, I'm in. I love a spectacle. I was pretty excited to tune in. Okay, let's do more spectacles. And you might see that because there was an interview with Gronk and Shaq saying they were starting an athlete fighting league, which nobody knows if that's true or not. No one knows if that was just Shaq coming up with an idea on the spot, or if this is something that, you know, two of the more notable athletes that are out in the public eye. Because I'll tell you what, if you start getting guys to do that, you know, I'm trying to think what's a good dream matchup. Who do we got? You're not getting LeBron boxing. Imagine if you did. You'd watch. Or let's get like an ironic match. Let's get like Kevin Durant versus, I don't know, who's someone compact? Jerome Bettis. A little old. There's an age gap there. But, you know, that's at your high school, the fight you always dreamed about. The 6'7" basketball player who was skinny with reach against the D lineman who was 5'11" but 300 pounds. Let's set up some spectacles. We like it. Happy for boxing. I haven't really texted Dan. I'll give him a surprise call. I don't know if I've ever given him a phone call. Let's see if he has anything to chime in before I pivot over to UFC and then the football. First time ever calling Dan Canobbio. Here we go. God, tell me his phone number's in the voicemail.
Should be good.
Jacob?
Daniel.
What's up, bro?
What's up? I'm recording Waking Jake right now.
Are you really?
Yeah, man. It's a boxing world.
It is a boxing world. We're living in it.
How was your weekend?
It was pretty fucking crazy, man. I learned that Netflix is the scariest media company in the world.
How do you mean that? And I am recording this.
They are scary in a good way because they just have so much manpower and they put so much effort into this event. It felt like the Super Bowl more than it felt like a boxing event. This was their big foray into live sports, and I was just really impressed with how much emphasis and attention to detail that they put in. Even for like my 1 minute, 2 1-minute hits, they were treating me as if I was, Howard Cosell.
2 1-minute hits with 60 million people watching, pa.
Yeah, I learned that I can read. That's a good thing.
Good step. Good
I
step.
can read in front of people. I almost hyperventilated when they started counting you down, 10, 9, and I looked around and I saw 72,000 people at Jerry World. And I was like, oh, don't do that again. Don't look around and just focus in. And, it was freaking awesome.
Just picture everyone in their underwear. You didn't even have to imagine with Tyson, huh?
Well, yeah, we saw his cheeks.
We saw cheeks. We saw cheeks.
Double cheeked up Tyson.
Hey, is it all right if I'm mad about the Serrano-Taylor final decision?
No, I think you should be. You should. That's what boxing is. It's controversial decisions, a very subjective sport.
But why, Dan? Why do that was a great fight.
Yeah, but it wasn't like an egregious decision. I've seen those
Sure.
who watch boxing have seen much, much worse, like pure corruption. That was a close fight where either lady could have won. 95-94 doesn't get any closer than that on the official scorecards. My problem was they took a point away from Taylor for the headbutting. So 95, that means it could have been even wider, which doesn't make any sense to me. Serrano landed more punches, landed cleaner shots. It's just like part of boxing. And a lot of people watched that fight, which is great, and they got to see those two ladies because they're the two best female fighters maybe of all time. But then there's that like bad taste in some casual fans' mouths where they're like, oh man, that wasn't who I thought won.
Yeah, it just hurts me as like a sports guy. Like I don't know. Like if they called that a draw, I would have been like, you're kind of right. Like it was tight. I thought Serrano won, and when you looked at the final punching numbers, it was like, geez.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know that sports wise, that doesn't sit too well with me.
Well, it's boxing. It's a subjective sport. It's decided by 3 individuals ringside, and they can see 3 different things. It's the scariest thing. But the main takeaway is that 50 million homes watched Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, and women's boxing needed that. They needed like a shot in the arm because a few years ago, women's boxing was on top, but kind of went down a little bit. So to number one thing I got was buffering from Netflix, Mike Tyson's cheeks, I hate Jake Paul, and Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor are awesome.
Yeah, give me. I mean, Dan, this is kind of awesome because I didn't tell you. Hey, have we ever talked on the phone before?
No, I thought I was getting spammed when you called me. I was like, am I getting fired from a place I don't work at anymore?
Not here. You can't do that. Give me 1 minute. Give me your Tyson Paul thoughts in an elevator pitch, and then maybe where they can go hear more of your thoughts.
So Tyson, I felt like this was a big time moment for the legacy of Mike Tyson. You may not have liked the fight, you may not have liked the promotion, you may not like Jake Paul, but I think one thing is for sure: 65 million homes tuned in, and the world pretty much came to a standstill because of Mike Tyson. And that is an unbelievable testament to him, because he's not the most. This guy has done some heinous things in his life, but he's just a human being that everyone gravitates towards. I don't think it was bad for boxing. I don't think it was good for boxing. I just think it was a night where you're going to get 2 big names and they're going to try to make money. And that's what kind of boxing is. It's the only stage where you can do that. Individuals making money for one night. So I think it was a big Mike Tyson moment, and more than it was for Jake Paul.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts to see how much juice Tyson still has in our society. Just seeing him come out and hearing the crowd erupt, that was sick. Something I didn't know we'd see again.
You know what's funny? It was like as the fight was playing out and we kind of realized, like, all right, Mike is not going to close the distance. He's not going to take any chances. He's 58. His legs are shot. His reflexes are bad.
Dan, he's 58.
The fans didn't know whether to boo or not. And I've been to a million fights where they suck. They start booing immediately. The fans, 72,000 people, didn't boo right away because of the respect they have for Tyson. Like, at the fight ended, everyone just kind of just filed out. And they're like, yeah, I kind of figured that's what it would look like. But I expected maybe a little more out of Tyson. But, you know, I was watching the fight with Andre Ward, who's a former champion, and he's, like, in his 40s. And he said towards the end of his career, like, your mind says do this, and your body just can't do it. And to do that in a ring is wild enough.
The end there sounds like a Blitzball battle ad. Hey, Daniel, good to hear from you, Poppy. Where can the people find more of you if they liked you on that Netflix hit?
Oh yeah, go check me out on Inside Boxing Live on Instagram and YouTube. Do a show twice a week with former John Boy employee and former world champion Chris Algieri. So check me out there, and also you can find me on all your dating apps.
Did you get that? Did you get that Netflix IG boost?
Oh yeah, that and just random ass messages from people of all walks of my life.
Pretty wild, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I know I already kind of told you, but congrats. And next time dude, I was pretty pissed when I found out UFC was at the Garden because I just straight up missed it. But that's like near the top of sports events I want to go to.
Yeah, I was thinking about going, but I knew that I was going to be absolute nothing the next day after this Tyson event.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an awesome event too. I mean, every November they do MSG at the Garden, so we'll go next year.
All right, hook it up with tickets.
you got it, bro.
All right, Dan, I'll talk to you, Poppy.
BBD, I love you, bro.
Wow. Bye, Dan.
Peace. See you.
Wrong number, but thank you for calling. So the boxing was good, and we already segued into UFC. Man, I'm so in. I started even getting more and more emotional about it. Because I'll give you the honest run through, and this is as big of a UFC. We have no attachment or connection to the UFC. Let me preface that by saying this. Saturday night, I saw it was John Bones Jones. I don't even know. I just know John Bones Jones is a bad man. I think Chandler Jones was his brother who played in the NFL for a while and was an all-pro D-end. I just remember John Bones Jones being a stud. He was killing people. He'd had went through it off the field, and then he's back, and he's one of the people they debate as the GOAT. It was at MSG. I did one scratch and one look at tickets just to be should I go? And then I was I'm not going. By myself. I'm in comfy clothes at 6 p.m. It's dark out. Anyways, it sounds like I'm going next year with Dan, and he's got tickets, so that's sweet. So I was but you know what? I'm going to watch. I get sucked in. They start them off on ESPN, and then at 10 p.m. you have to go over to the pay-per-view. Tried the illegal stream for a little bit, I'll be honest. $80 by myself, me and the dog watching UFC, that's not my best investment. That's something they tell me in investment school, hey, if you could save that and watch the illegal screen, good investment. Watched for a little bit, gave out, and I said, you know what? I'm enjoying this enough. I'm a man. I bought it. Caved in, watched it. The production is so good, and if you're a John Boy Media person that's John Boy Media, you guys know something about production, Blitzball Battle, all that stuff. I mean, I do and I don't. It's one of Jim's strengths. Obviously, we've put a lot of time into it. But UFC, the amount of info they give you about the fighters is perfect. The booth is perfect. It's Rogan with intense knowledge about UFC going back to the early days. Also with full reign to be sense of humor and honest. If a boxer's in crazy good shape, Rogan will be look how good a shape this dude is in. If there's a fighter in horrible shape, they'll be this guy's out of shape right now. He doesn't look good. He's moving bad. It's pretty cool. You get super honest commentary. Anik, great by play-by-play and does enough of his quirks to keep him moving. And Cormier with great insight, still having fought a lot of these guys in recent years, the heavyweights at least. It's an amazing product. Every fight you're vested in, the contrast in fighting styles. This guy's going to try to choke out this guy. This guy doesn't want to go to the ground with this guy. This guy's trying for the first round knockout. He's never been in a 5-round fight before, so he's more tired than he's ever been. I love it. I love all of it. I was sending passionate message about how good it is. Some of these guys are obviously sick puppies, and they know that entertainment-wise, even if you're going to lose the fight, you need to put in entertainment value. One guy, Chandler, American little dude, he was losing the fight. He kept getting taken to the ground by a Brazilian guy, Oliveira. Am I saying that right? Probably not. I'm sorry to the people, to all my Portuguese listeners. But by the end, he was still fighting. Like one of these guys, Michael Chandler, Oliveira, he was going to have to knock him out to win, and he was given some big blows. He couldn't get the big one that by the end, he was kind of wrapped up again. In a showmanship way, he stood up twice with Oliveira wrapped around him and just body slammed him, knowing it wouldn't do enough damage to win him the match, but it won over the crowd. John Bones Jones, the champ, he beats Miocic, guy with a lot of titles, like most decorated heavyweight, they kept saying. He's older. He's 41. He kind of came out of retirement for this. He retires right after the match. John Bones Jones was too much for him, and that was fun, just watching someone considered the GOAT still be the GOAT. I think he's at age 37 or something like that. This is why this sport wins. So I talked about boxing, and I want the right fighter. I want the right person to win, all of that. Middleweight fight. Here comes Bo Nickel. Great name. College wrestler. He was like he was voted the best college wrestler in 2019. So you're like, okay. That's where, again, UFC is kind of cool. This guy, we've been told, is a world-class wrestler. He's undefeated. He's 7-0. He's got kind of this no-nonsense Midwest attitude for him. I think he's actually from New Mexico or something like that. And, dude, his interviews are just kind of what you want a fighter. He was like, yeah, I don't, wrestling was over, and I just want to keep fighting people, so I started doing this. And you're like, okay. He said fighting is his favorite thing. He said him and his buddies in middle school, they used to get yelled at so much by their parents because they just fight each other. They just hang out and fight. And now this guy's in the UFC. Anyways, he's American, playing at the Garden, undefeated. The crowd's all about him. They love him. 7-0, this guy's the next star. He's the next McGregor, all of it. He comes out. Cheers, he's fighting this Scottish guy, Paul Craig. Can't understand him. Handsome. But he's on his way down. 17-9-1. That means this guy's lost 9 fights in an octagon. That's a bad time. But he's on his way down as Bo Nickel's on his way up, and that's kind of how it works in UFC. Bo Nickel was winning, but in an unimpressive fashion. Like, he wasn't trying to go for takedowns. He wasn't trying to do impact blows. He was just, like, casually winning the fight. The crowd just started booing him. Instant turn. Instant turn. If you're not going to entertain us and fight like hell, we don't want it. And it was crazy. They hand him his belt to go 7-0, undefeated in UFC. Madison Square Garden's booing him. And he does his interview, and credit to him, because that's got to be a weird feeling. The months of preparation / your whole life building up to this fight in MSG, and you were the fan favorite, and now you're getting booed 20 minutes later after you've won? It's a weird mix of emotions. He handled it pretty good. He was like, hey, man, I've been building my way up. I only have 6 fights against people who are not of Paul Craig's ability. Like, I'm kind of sorry you didn't get the show you wanted, but I kind of just had a dominant victory over a very good fighter. I feel good. And it was like, yeah, and you should, man. Good for you. But it's just emotions that other sports cannot tap into with that instant crisscross, a potential moment where one punch or one kick dictates the fight. There was a guy fighting on one leg. Like, he wasn't able to stand on his back leg, so he was still hopping around and fighting. And it's like, that changes things. That changes your whole dynamic. I can't believe how sucked in I get to it every time. I paid $80 of my own money, and I didn't regret it at all. So, Dan's got me front row seats at the next one. I'm excited for it. If you're someone that's been shy to UFC, I recommend it, whether it's with a group of friends or out at a bar or something. It's just a weird real world that they've created, and some of the blood and stuff is tough. I'll be honest. The 2 females were fighting, Araujo and Silva, and there was a lot of blood going on. I didn't love it for a minute. I'll be real with you. But next big UFC fight, and I think there's one, I think it was like December 7th or December 10th. I'll be watching. So if you're about it, let me know. Let's finish up with some NFL football. Sasaki fighting in football. That's what Wake and Jake does. A fun NFL weekend. I was able to digest a lot of it. Man, I was going to say, let's go back to Thursday's game. I barely remember it. This was the Saquon 2 TD game. Should have been 3, but tush push at the 1. They end up beating the Commanders 26-18. Gives them a stronghold in the NFC East. The panicky 2-2 Eagles fire Sirianni. They're now 8-2, and I think Nick Sirianni has like the 7th best NFL coaching record of all time by win percentage. It's funny where his perception is at in and outside of Philly. They're back to kind of being the feared Eagles, and when you're looking for an NFC team to come out, they've got quite the argument right now. And Saquon, that guy is playing out of his dome. I'm starting to think he was not the problem in New York. Which brings us to Sunday. The Euro games are out, people. The big game that I've been teasing for a couple weeks, Bills-Chiefs, we'll get there. It's the 4 p.m. At 1 p.m., Bears-Packers, my God. Again, I know I'm doing a lot of cross-promo for shows that don't need cross-promo, but just go listen to the tone in Big Cat's voice about his Chicago Bears, because they are so broken by the Green Bay Packers. I think Matt LaFleur is 11-0 against the Bears. I think if you go back, it's something crazy. It's like 48-11 or something. Like how badly the Packers that seemingly always have a quarterback against the Bears that seemingly always don't, how much they have dominated this game. It ends on a blocked field goal where the Bears could have went for more yards, and they did not. And the Packers, it's always funny when you get the story afterwards. They said the Packers special teams was saying all week how they're going to block a kick. Probably say that every week, right? I mean, I'd have to assume that's probably part of the goal. But when you do it on the game-ending play, that feels good. The Packers, 7-3. Speaking of NFC teams, as we start to boil up for their playoffs. Christian Watson, by the way, 4 catches, 150. It's about 50 yards a catch. Analytics. Lions, Jaguars. Holy smokes, 52-6. The spread in this game was -14. And the Lions showed how dominant they are. Goff God gets 4 touchdowns. Montgomery runs for 2. Sun God catches 2. The most dominant win of the year. The Lions and how good they look so far this year. NFC early on. The Vikes, Titans, not really. No thank you. Although the Vikings are now 8-2. Crazy. You turn your head and you're just kind of like, what? They had lost a lot of their momentum. People were kind of fading Darnold a little bit. No more. The 8-2 Vikings, who do they have coming up? They have the Bears. Okay. Bears, Cardinals, Falcons. Watch out for them Broncos. Bears again. Seahawks, Packers, Lions. I mean, these 8-2 Vikes, there's no reason they shouldn't go at least 500 the rest of the way. And you're looking at an 11-win ball club in Minnesota this year? Crazy. Crazy story from them. Dolphins, Raiders, no thank you. I will say this. Dolphins, they've got a little bit of the juice. And they were my big bet I hit this weekend. So I was happy about that. And it didn't look like it was going to hit. A lot of back and forth late in this game. If you know, you knew. Rams, Patriots, not really. Rams are back to 500. Matty Stafford, 4 touchdowns. Hey, Patriots, I know this year isn't going to look so good, but Drake May looks solid. There was a couple funny texts in the group chat. One of my buddies was ribbing my New England Patriot friends about them not having Lad McConkey and how much of a movie it would be. Lad McConkey in that Patriots white. Saints, Browns, no. Saints rolled them. 4-7, 2-game win streak. The Taysom Hill game, 7 carries for 138, 3 touchdowns. That guy, man. The Colts and the Jets. The Colts win 28-27. The Jets drop to 3-8. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's franchises. I don't know if it was firing Saleh. I don't know if it's Rodgers. Curses. The Jets are up there. The Jets are up there when it comes to being cursed. Anthony Richardson puts it away with a late touchdown run. Colts still alive in this thing. AR5 had like a good game. You wonder if that benching could have been good for him, either health-wise or for his headspace. But they are back. And how about those Denver Broncos being back? Falcons. I was trying to drink their Kool-Aid. I think they were 6-3. Kirk slinging it. They're now 6-5. They only score 6 points against that vaunted Broncos defense. Bo Nix 4 passing touchdowns. I mean, Williams 9 carries, 59 yards, and 1 touchdown. The Horsies. Again, this was a game I didn't come in expecting anything from them. They showed up, and now they've got Raiders, Browns, Colts. Let's go. Bronco Nation, let's ride. Anything else in the 1 into the 4 p.m.? Ravens, Steelers. The Steelers take down my Ravens. I think I'm going to take my Super Bowl prediction hat off the Ravens. Partially because they've lost a couple close games like this. The Steelers win 18-16. No tutties. Man, this was just AFC North football. Grindy, gritty, hard hitting. The Justin Fields slide short at the end was kind of tough to watch, but it doesn't end up hurting them. King Henry with his first fumble on the opening drive and like 500-something carries. He came to the bench like a guy who fumbled for the first time in 500-something carries. Mike Tomlin, you can't say it. He has to be the leader for Coach of the Year at this point. The 8-2 Steelers behind Fields and Wilson. And yeah, people are wondering how seriously do they have to take them because they have that world-class defense. They're now 8-2. I don't know. I don't have them as an actual Super Bowl threat yet, but maybe that's being rude because they just beat my Ravens. Well, I'm taking out for now because there's a couple things I don't like besides the losing. I think Lamar is 1-4 against the Steelers against Tomlin. I might have those stats wrong. Maybe that's in Pittsburgh, but there was that. There's the Lamar, Lamar's playoff stuff, which I've been willing to look over because all it takes is one good one to put all that in your rear view. Man, the Justin Tucker thing is very real. That was part of their team identity. The Ravens, it kind of felt like going into half or whenever they had the ball, if they were getting near midfield, it was Justin Tucker time, and he felt automatic. He does not. He is really struggling. It's not just him, but it's a big part of it where I think I'm taking my Super Bowl hat off the Ravens for now. Speaking of another team people want to, the 49ers lose to the Seahawks. And in the final seconds, again, Geno runs one in. I don't know. Everyone was buying up Niner stock. McCaffrey's back. Here we go. No go. Seahawks 5-5. Niners 5-5. Rams 5-5. The Cardinals continue to lead that division. They were on their bye week this week. Seems like one of those years for the Niners that's just off. And I've talked about the injuries a lot. It just hasn't clicked. Hey, if the playoff lights come on and they get a good first-round matchup, everyone will be back, but they've been off this year. The game of the weekend, Bills-Chiefs. The game of the year, arguably. The Chiefs and their win streak, which I've tried to put on your radar. The Bills, looking for redemption. I tried to tee this up the best I could between this is one of Buffalo's best chance to get them, and they end up getting them. 30-21. Josh Allen looks good, ends the game with an incredible rushing touchdown. He's just so big and powerful. It's incredible to watch. The Chiefs, they felt a step off this year, but they just kept winning, and Mahomes is still there. This doesn't change much. This is, in Buffalo, close game. But they do end up losing it. Big one for the Bills. It was funny to see. I think Allen is 4-1 against Mahomes in the regular season. Mahomes 3-0 in the postseason. That's how you get remembered, folks. Huge for Buffalo. Do I have them as my Super Bowl favorites right now? I don't know if I'm willing to don that. I think I'd still take the Chiefs over them, which is horribly rude. But that Mahomes guy and that Reed guy are still there. And if this game's in Kansas City, I don't think Buffalo gets it. So they are currently the 9-1 Chiefs and the 9-2 Bills. Let's see how the Chiefs look the rest of the way. They get a nice little medicine game after this, the Carolina Panthers, and then the Raiders. So expect them to get back on the winning train. And at night, Chargers-Bengals. And I was excited to talk about this one today because falling deeper and deeper in love with Joe Burr, and he has another massive game. Leads an incredible comeback. They were down, 24-6? Might have even been 21-3 at one point, whatever it was. Burrow leads them back 27s on the scoreboard, and they end up blowing it. Each team had a couple chances late. I think there was something like 3 kicks in the final 2 minutes. It might have even been 4. McPherson, remember when he was a star player for their team? Money McPherson. He missed 2 kicks. Him and Justin Tucker, those two were viewed as like 1A, 1B. Butker in the mix, couple other guys. McPherson has missed a few field goals that have changed the outlook of this Bengals season. That now they're sitting at 4-7. And by the way, I'm not selling any of my Burrow grounder position. He was awesome. Some of the throws he made into some of the windows and some of the plays he makes with his legs and in the pocket, it's kind of unmatched to me in his playing style. Herbert was solid and fine and made the 2 passes at the end that he had to make. Ladd McConkey is good. 6 catches, 123. The 2 big passes I mentioned were both to him. And the Chargers, Harbaugh, 7-3. And yeah, interested to see how this year wraps up with the Bengals and their head coach, Zach Taylor, because I don't know. This feels off, and Cincinnati as a city, be careful. Because if this guy ever wants out of town or leaves town, it'd be very bad for Cincinnati. Just a reminder, LSU lost again this weekend. Go look at LSU outside of Joe Burrow. It's a slightly different narrative. It's a slightly different way to view the program as a whole, since from Saban to Burrow, sick 30-30 in Louisiana. And hey, tonight, how about them Cowboys? We'll watch because we like sports. Cowboys, Texans, Houston, -7 in Jerry's World. So they cleared that place out pretty quick. How do you like that? So, hey, guys, funky episode today. A lot of physical fighting sports. Not my norm, but I enjoyed it this weekend. And it was another testament to how sports can, just when you least expect it, poke their head out there and give you something. So, hope you guys enjoy it. I think might get Jolly the Bear, Jolly Olive, for Wednesday's episode. So, we'll look into that. Thank you, guys. Unc?
Talkin Jake is a production of Dan Patrick Productions, John Boy Media, and Workhouse Media.